We have die-hard batteries that are reliable, durable, and powerful enough to get you through every road trip. Plus, we'll even install it free with purchase. No appointment necessary. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. Most vehicles, most locations. See store for details.
Here we go.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life.
Welcome to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City. I'm Darren Smith. I am not in studio today. I'm in the home lab cooking up something later on for the Red Hour with my guy, Mr. Steve Walls. Of course, so we're also joined by the vacationing Sterling Holmes. Sterling, how are you doing this afternoon?
Man, I am doing great. I am doing fantastic.
Steve, how about yourself?
Was it last week around this time? Sterling, man, he's out and about. I need to get on Sterling's team, man. What's up with that?
Well, the interesting thing was, we were trying to get Steve out to Las Vegas this week, but he decided not to join the road trip. So we'll have to figure out other plans for you, Steve. But look, there's a lot to get into, a lot to unpack right away. Want to thank everyone for tuning in on ESPN Kansas City Radio, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM, along with social media. Obviously, the big news, we just got off the Zoom call. Chiefs owner and CEO Clark Hunt has just signed General Manager Brett Veach along with head coach Andy Reid 2 contract extensions. And I got a chance to ask Brett Veach just how easy it was, I guess, for him to come to this decision post Super Bowl. And he did, he did make the obvious assumption that, of course, winning the Super Bowl makes it much easier to try to keep everybody in place, locking up Patrick Mahomes to a long-term deal, along with Andy Reid as well as Brett Veach. Now, we don't know the details of the extension or how long it is or how much money it may be. But, Steve, I want to start with you because I know you got in on the tail end of it, but your initial thoughts of the contract extensions for both Andy Reid and Brett Veach.
I think when you look at Brett Veach, from his standpoint, he's a guy that players can relate to, so to speak. He's a guy that when Clark Hunt looks at his general manager, he wants to feel like, I have a person that is here for the long term, that guys he has the guys' trust. It seems to me that with Brett Veach and locking up, like you said, Patrick Mahomes, he's got the Chris Jones deal done. He worked, Tyrann Mathieu and a bunch of other guys, Frank Clark.
Travis Kelce.
Guys, Kelce, guys that come in, the future of this team will understand, like, hey, these guys that play the same positions that I play, he's gotten them paid, or he's paid them. And I'm sure that guys look at that. But then we think about Andy Reid, you have Patrick Mahomes. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have a guy that has been able to bring up Patrick Mahomes and players will run through a wall for? And guys around the league know who Andy Reid is, and not only will they come to this team to play with Patrick Mahomes because, of course, he's leading the ship of this team, but also because of Andy Reid. They know that, and we heard from a guy last week that we talked to, Darren, Ron Parker, who said Andy is just a likable coach. He's one of those coaches where he'll call you and tell you, Merry Christmas and ask how your family is doing, and he'll let you be yourself. So, I think it's a good move for Clark Hunt to keep both of these guys in-house.
Now, Sterling, I know you've been a huge fan of Brett Veach since he first got promoted to this position. Your thoughts on this, and I mean, what's it mean for Clark Hunt to have that type of trust and admiration, obviously money, to keep Brett Veach here in Kansas City for the foreseeable future to come?
Well, I mean, I've been saying this, maybe even last year, right after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I said, is Brett Veach the best GM in football? And that was even before the monstrous deals he signed with Patrick Mahomes, with all of these guys. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does what is seemingly no other GM in the NFL can do, and that's just keep all of your star players, keep them happy, pay them, and then continue to win. I know it's a small sample size. I get it. But if this is me, I think Brett Veach is the best GM in football right now. You're looking at all the deals he makes. Everyone wants to come to Kansas City and play for this team. You have Le'Veon Bell looking like a model, NFL teammate right now, which he couldn't do in Pittsburgh, which he really wasn't with the Jets. But all of a sudden he comes to Kansas City and everything seems fine. I mean, just to me, with all of these big name players, Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, I don't think people realize how tough it is to keep these type of guys happy. Guys who are all alphas, guys who all want to be the guy. And Brett Veach has seemingly kept everyone happy. He's won a Super Bowl, and he has this team set up perfectly for not only the next season or two, but for a long haul and for a potential dynasty.
Now, Sterling, I know you weren't on the call, but just so you know, you hit on it, and Steve as well. The biggest compliment that I believe Clark Hunt was able to give to give about Brett Veach was the fact that when it came to learning and understanding the salary cap and the ins and out of it, I think a lot of people really don't seem to understand the amount of knowledge that it takes to actually be able to perfect it. And that's something that he's able to do because, look, we all know the story. The Chiefs had only $177 under the salary cap. Yet somehow, some way, they were able to, and I believe, Steve, I think you may have mentioned it a while back, that the first thing that they were able to do was rework Sammy Watkins' contract. So then that way you get him for a lower price. You didn't have to get cut or released or anything like that. You restructure his contract, and now you got room to play. Obviously, the first order of business before even Chris Jones was to sign Patrick Mahomes to a team-friendly $500 million contract extension, and then from that money that he left on the table, now you can do Chris Jones, and then Travis Kelce can get extended, or can get a contract extension, and then as Clark mentioned on the Zoom call, that that they probably would have gotten Brett and Andy done sooner, but because of the COVID, everything just kind of threw timing and everything out of whack. Your thoughts, Steve?
It's crazy when you look at it. When you look at it through a microscope, and you're like, man, how was Brett Veach able to work all these deals, right? And then, like Sterling said, have everybody buy in. Like, Chris Jones could have easily gone on a Twitter tangent and said, hey, I showed up for you camp last year. I expect to be paid this year, and you go and pay Patrick Mahomes first. However, he didn't do that. I think, because we're not, on the inside in the Chiefs organization, Brett Veach has gone around and said, hey, I'm gonna make sure I get you a deal. Just be cool. Give me a minute, and I'm gonna make sure about that. And like I said, guys around the league, they hear about this stuff. They know Brett Veach, and I want to say he's one of the youngest general managers in the NFL, and guys can relate to him. I mean, you see him, he's dapping up guys in the locker room. He's rah this, rah that, and so guys understand that, and they'll fight for you.
And Sterling,
I think.
Go ahead.
I want to say this very quickly. I mean, and it's not just the big name guys that he seems to keep happy. He was able to bring back some of the smaller name guys and keep them happy as well. I mean, you sign Damian Williams, you do some guys with the offensive line. He seemingly takes care of not only the Tyreek Hills, the Travis Kelce's, but he took care of Marcus Kemp, took care of Garrett Dieter. I mean, I just think it's very impressive what he's able to accomplish. And I agree with you, Steve. The fact that he's younger, I think it also helps players be able to buy in with a younger GM. You can kind of relate more to a 42-year-old than you probably can to a 65-year-old. I mean, nothing against the ages. I just think it's a little easier when you have a smaller age gap.
Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City Radio, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. Call-in number 913-491-8255. Of course, this is Raiders week here in Kansas City. Of course, the Chiefs will be traveling to Las Vegas to play against the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday Night Football next Sunday on NBC. Sterling, just to kind of put a cap on this as it relates to the contract extensions, another thing that Clark Hunt said that what he saw in hiring Brett Veach in this position, what he's seen over the 3.5 years that he's been in this position, is the fact that he's a people person. He's people oriented. Now, not to say that John Dorsey, I guess, wasn't, but he obviously wasn't someone that you would actually see out and about in the community. I mean, I see Brett Veach at KU basketball games, at Big 12 tournament type games, and so when you have a,
I did see John Dorsey at Taco Bell one time.
I think that just proves. I think that just proves that John Dorsey is actually human. That he has to actually eat to survive. But to the, I can't. Okay, that's a good one, Steve. You even threw your boy off on that one. But I said it to say that that Clark has allowed Mark Donovan, Brett Veach, Andy Reid to just do their jobs. He has said even on the Zoom call that he's not as hands-on as such as let's say a Jerry Jones. He's someone that if you hire the right people, they'll in turn also hire the right people underneath them. So where you don't have to be hands-on. Now he is obviously in touch with them weekly, more so via Zoom and stuff like that, and on the telephone. But he's not someone that, as he said on the Zoom call, that he has to be, he has to have that phone by him at 3:00 in the morning and wonder if something's going on with his players and things like that. Like, he's hired good people. He's allowed them to grow. He's allowed them to do their jobs, and he's someone that feels that they should be rewarded for it and rewarded handsomely. Steve.
I agree. He's when you see guys that are in the trenches with you. I mean, Andy Reid, of course, he didn't go through those losses, the 2-14 years, right? But he's been in the trenches and he's built this team up from that. And he's of course won a Super Bowl. I mean, what more can you ask for? It's kind of we talked about this before, but Andy is going to be able to basically cash Clark Hunt is going to give Andy Reid a blank check, so to speak, because he's liked by the community. He's loved by the team. He's loved by the NFL. And it's kind of like Andy Reid is that Cinderella story. I mean, he wasn't able to win a big game, and now he comes to Kansas City. He's able to win a big game, but then also bring the Lamar Hunt Trophy back to Kansas City. And for that, I think Clark Hunt is grateful for.
Sterling, look, I know you're a big Andy Reid guy. Obviously, I know you're a big Brett Veach guy. But going further, as we look into the future and even past the season, how much pressure do you think is actually or will actually be on both Andy Reid and Brett Veach to continue keeping this type of team and keeping this organization like it is for years to come? Obviously, kind of mirroring a Pittsburgh Steelers or a New England Patriot type organization where you're successful for many years to come.
I think less pressure than you would probably imagine. The reason why is you already have the pieces in place. Now it's up for the players that you brought in that everyone knows are studs to produce. I think that's the hardest part is pretty much done, is bringing in the players, keeping them happy, and making sure that they are paid for the long haul. Well, Brett Veach has done that. I don't think Andy Reid is all of a sudden going to revert back to some, Adam Gase head coach, and that's not going to happen. So now it's up to the players. Andy Reid, Brett Veach, they've done everything that they can do. The pressure's, I think, not that much on those two guys. To me, the pressure's now on the players. It's on Patrick. It's on Travis Kelce. It's on Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark. I mean, let's be real here. Chiefs fans, they can sometimes be a little impatient. I know myself as well. I mean, think about Frank Clark. Think about Frank Clark. We see how much money he's making, and then we look at the numbers and we go, well, the Chiefs just won a Super Bowl. They're 8-1. But Frank Clark could be doing better. I mean, it's just how we are as people. It's how we are as fans. We're extremely passionate. We want to make sure this is not just a one-and-done deal. We want to make sure this is built for the long haul. So, to me, the pressure is on the players. It's not on Veach, and it's not on Andy Reid.
All right, I want to take a quick time out. We come back. We're going to recap a little bit of Sunday's actions. There was a lot to unpack, of course. there are a couple of Drews that are going to be out of commission the next couple of weeks. So when we come back, we'll look at some of Sunday's games, some of the ramifications of it, and, of course, look ahead to this Sunday's Chiefs-Raiders game in Las Vegas. Keep it locked in. Darren and Sterling right here, ESPN Kansas City Radio.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Hi, I'm Jordan, president of Digital Lagoon, a web and design agency. This year, I'm proud to be celebrating 25 years in business. Here at Digital Lagoon, we can provide you with a strategic digital marketing strategy. With the implementation of social media, SEO, and online advertising, these programs are proven to improve your website traffic. Let us collaborate with you to structure a plan and cut through the digital noise. Check us out at lagoon.com. That's lagoon.com.
I'm Joel Clark, a SelectQuote advisor, and we are hiring in Kansas City. I've been with SelectQuote for over 17 years, and I can tell you, coming to SelectQuote was the best decision I ever made. The earning potential here is real. I have personally made over $250,000 year in and year out. Invest in your future and give us a call now. 1-833-HIRING-1. That is 1-833-447-4641. Or check us out online at SelectQuoteCareer.com. I guarantee you won't regret it.
Did you know on average people only review their insurance plans once every 4 years? Hi, this is Corey Schnabel, owner of KC Insurance Group. Call KC Insurance Group today at 913-396-6320 for a no-obligation review of your current policy. If your current policy is the best fit for you, we'll tell you. If not, we'll save you some money with a tailored proposal from one of the best carriers in Kansas City. It's truly a win-win. KC Insurance Group voted 2019's best agency by Pitch Magazine. 913-396-6320 or visit us online at kcinsured.com.
You can keep your grass green and lush all year long with a new sprinkler system from Summit Lawn and Landscape. Call Summit Lawn and Landscape today at 816-966-9434 to design a water-efficient system for your home and never drag a hose again. 816-966-9434. Summit Lawn and Landscape provides complete lawn maintenance, including mowing, fertilization, and landscape installation, maintenance, and design. Call 816-966-9434 or go to summitlawn.com.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All right, welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Radio, Kansas City. Joined, of course, by the vacationing Sterling Holmes. Is probably somewhere off on the golf course somewhere, kicking his feet up, giving us the little folks a little bit of his time. Of course, we're also joined by Mr. Steve Walls, who you can catch every Saturday morning on 100.1 FM. He is the host of the W as well as co-host of the Red Hour, which yours truly will be on this evening at 6:30, talking Chiefs football, of course, getting everybody set for this Sunday's game against the Raiders. We'll also be joined by DJ Q and Sean Tyler as well on the show. But, gentlemen, looking at Sunday's game, Steve, I got to tell you right off the bat, I was 2 points away from $6,000, okay, on those parlays. If the Chargers-Dolphins game, if they don't score 50 points, I would say like that. That's how close it was on that parlay that I had yesterday, Steve. So this week, if I decide to go to Vegas, I am going to be intently, going through all these parlay bets and stuff like that. But I say all that to say that there was a lot of big plays yesterday. Obviously, none bigger if you're a fan of Kyler Murray than his Hail Mary pass to DeAndre Hopkins and Sterling. Now I love me some Deshaun Watson. He's got to be feeling sick right now with their 2-7 record, and you got DeAndre Hopkins out here making Kyler Murray into an MVP candidate. So, Steve, I'm going to start with you first because I know Sterling's going to go on about this, but I want to start with you first on your thoughts from Sunday's games.
Yeah, man. That Kyler Murray throw. But the thing about it is, I felt like the game was over when Josh Allen threw that. He threw the tightrope spiral to Stephon Diggs, and then I think they went up 4. And I was like, oh, well, in 30 seconds, they're not going to be able to. Arizona's not going to be able to march down the field and score.
I was at the casino. I was like, there's no way it's going to be. I was at the casino.
And then you see, Kyle, I was eating dinner, and I'm like, man, what if he just go? At first, I'm like, okay, what if we got to rerun it back on the kickoff? That didn't happen. So then Kyler Murray, you see him roll out and kind of throw a heaving pass, and then DeAndre Hopkins just catches the ball at his highest point and brings it down. And that just goes to show you when you look at the Texans, and you mentioned, them getting rid of him, so to speak. It just goes to show you, man. So it shows what they're missing down in Houston. You don't give up a talent like that no matter what. And I definitely see Larry Fitzgerald is happy about that win.
I'll tell you what, there's a huge difference right there in Brett Veach and Bill O'Brien. There you go. But no, I'll say this. One, what an amazing play by Kyler Murray to not get sacked. That in of itself was outstanding. 2, a great play by DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he was legitimately triple teamed and somehow came down with the football. And then 3, what were the Bills doing though defensively? They had so many guys underneath still. They should have put everyone back because the touchdown was the only way they could lose. I was surprised they didn't have more guys back, but overall, what an outstanding game. But Sunday had some crazy games. I mean, who would have thought the Patriots would come back and win? Lamar Jackson, what I've been saying for a while now, until he figures out his arm, this Ravens team is not, in my opinion, not even top 3 in the AFC right now. I have them at number 4. They're just too one-dimensional. As great as Lamar Jackson is, and he's still explosive. He still made some plays that game. He's just not consistently able to go outside the numbers and, move that offense along. If they get down, they stay down. And so, Sunday's games were very exciting. It's weird not having Chiefs football, but now it's extremely fun because once the Chiefs bye happens, now there's no more weeks where you don't get to watch the Chiefs, so that's always exciting. But overall, Sunday did not, in my opinion, there were a lot of upsets. I mean, Darren, you and me, first game of the week, the Colts beat the Titans.
Yeah.
We didn't expect that. We didn't expect, Phillip Rivers to go out and do that. We didn't expect the Titans to just lay an egg. So, Sunday's games were fun. At the end of the day, this is what the NFL is any given Sunday. And very quickly, you did touch on Deshaun Watson. Yes, he needs DeAndre Hopkins, but he's got to do more and score, 7 points? I mean, you lose 7-10.
Yeah.
Your defense only gives up 10 points. Deshaun, you got to do more than that.
Yeah, and in watching that game, of course, and I was telling Steve, I think obviously the fact that the game was delayed because of weather, I know it shouldn't have anything to do with it, but it makes you wonder about the play calling as well, because it makes you wonder if you're Deshaun, well, what kind of plays are you all giving me to where we can't get? I mean, they would be on 3rd and 1 and would just do something. You're looking like, really? This is a play that you want to run? And then, he tries to run a quarterback sneak or something, and they just eat it up. Look, also, if you look
making you miss Bill O'Brien.
No, not at all. Look, I would hire Bill O'Brien back just to fire him again for what he did to DeAndre Hopkins. But to your point though, and Steve, look about. I look at a game like the Seahawks and the Rams. And I've always said when it comes to Russell Wilson, he's always the MVP of a first half of the season. The problem is that there's 2 halves to a season. And when you look at his play the last 3 games, he's had 10 turnovers, 10, 11 turnovers. And to me, it's hard. Now, I know that there's some eyesight that has him tied with Mahomes, but there's no way that if you look at his gameplay the last 2 weeks where they've lost 3 games in a row, that Russell Wilson is still any type of front runner or even in the top 5 when it comes to a league MVP. Steve, your thoughts?
Yeah, you can't put it all on Russell Wilson. I mean, over the past few years, their defense is the Seattle Seahawks defense has been,
it is horrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's gotten worse over the past couple of years, and so, but granted, you look at a guy like Patrick Mahomes. I hate comparing Patrick Mahomes, throwing him out there all the time, but you just have to, because even when his defense was playing terrible, remember back beginning of last year, you could count on Mahomes to put up 40 points, 35 points, and as long as their defense didn't give up over 30, they were going to win. Yeah. And so you got to look at Russell Wilson, and he has to score more than. I mean, you talked about Deshaun Watson scoring only 7. Russell Wilson has to score more than 16 points. He just has to if he wants to be an MVP candidate.
Now, both of you gentlemen, you both have the New Orleans Saints in the Super Bowl. Of course, they are going to be without Drew Brees, it looks like, for at least a few weeks, as he has some ribs. He has ribs injuries, and I'm trying to. I just had it on here, but I'm not sure exactly where it's at. But he was injured in the game yesterday against the San Francisco 49ers, and then, of course, Jameis Winston came in place of him. They won. Okay, so he has fractured ribs and a collapsed lung. So not sure.
Multiple fractured ribs on both sides.
Right. So
it's brutal.
So you say all that, but I ask you now, are you still confident in that? Because Jameis is going to be at the helm, and we don't know how long it's going to be before Drew Brees come back. But we also know that while Jameis can fling the ball, he can also turn that ball over. What does this do for the Saints and their chances on staying above the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, of course, were victorious yesterday against the Carolina Panthers, Steve?
Yeah. It's Drew Brees. He's been balling, man. And you know what? Honestly, right now, I don't think when you look at just the fractured ribs, that's going to take anywhere, I think, of 6 weeks or so. And then the lung injury, we saw another guy with a punctured lung earlier this season, right? Tyrod Taylor, and it took him 5 weeks before he was able to come back. But of course, Tyrod Taylor is 10 years younger than Drew, so you got to look at his age as well. And so, but I think Jameis Winston, you got to remember, Jameis is kind of like Le'Veon Bell right now. He's trying out for another job next year. He wants to get paid, and so I think he's going to ball out. You won't see the interception because I think he's wanting to make sure that he's going to play mistake free. And of course, you still have Alvin Kamara. You still have can't guard Michael Thomas. So I think with those weapons, he'll be just fine, because Tampa Bay didn't have a running game last year like the Saints have in Alvin Kamara. So I think they'll be okay.
Sterling, obviously, like I said, I know that this is one of your Super Bowl picks, along with the Kansas City Chiefs. But without Drew Brees, the calls and everything is going to be much different. That they don't have a lot of time to actually adapt. I know they've been practicing with Jameis, in camp and throughout this NFL season. But what does he bring differently, obviously, than what the Drew Brees is going to? And the Chiefs, I mean, look, the Falcons are not outside of, they're not too far outside of that final playoff spot. So, they play the Saints 2 of the next 3 ball games. And then, of course, as Steve said, it could be a 5-week injury or maybe more for Drew Brees. And, of course, Kansas City comes in to New Orleans December 20th to face off against the Saints.
Let's just go ahead and say, let's be safe. Let's say it's 6 weeks. If we're being fair here, the Saints team probably still goes 3-3, right? And if they go 3-3, you're still 10-5. You're still fine, and that gives you 2 weeks or at least a week of Drew Brees coming back before the playoffs. I'm okay with that, and that's being generous by saying it's 6 weeks. Jameis Winston threw 10 passes. Fun fact, didn't throw an interception. Somewhat of a surprise, but no. I mean, to me, at the end of the day, this Saints team is still very good. You still have Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas. I agree with you. You have Alvin Kamara, who is maybe the most like Christian McCaffrey. He's a receiver. He's a receiver and a running back. You have a lot of guys. You have a great offensive line. You have a very solid defense still. You got Marshawn Lattimore. You still have Taysom Hill, who I know you don't use him all the time, but he looked fine in spurts this game, and he's looked fine through spurts throughout the season. Sean Payton's a great head coach. You know, if you can just stay above water, if you go 3-3 and just break even, you know, this Saints team is, in my opinion, still the front runner in the NFC.
Steve, the other Drew that was injured Sunday was Drew Lock, your favorite quarterback from the Denver Broncos. He had a rib injury, may not practice, but your thoughts on whether or not he'll be able to go Sunday against the Miami Dolphins? And we'll get to them in just a second, but your thoughts.
Like I said, every week, man, he just doesn't have the star power around him to be successful. And I don't think, coaching is any better, right? But I mean, you look at how Jerry Jeudy plays and how he's coming to his own. I mean, granted, Drew Lock was still 23 or 47, 257. He had 4 interceptions, only 1 touchdown, but that offensive line is dumpster trash, man. He has no protection. I mean, throw Drew Lock on another team with a good coach and with a good squad. I mean, just a good squad all around. I think he would be more successful. But right now, he's just looking bad, man.
I don't know, Steve.
I agree with you, Steve.
Well,
I agree with Steve. No, because they get no offensive line. Cortland Sutton's hurt. Noah Fant's been hurt pretty much most of the season. Your backup tight end, your guy at Mizzou, Albert O, is hurt. Your defense is bad. I mean, he's getting nothing to work with in Denver. So I actually agree with Steve on this one.
Okay, so let me ask you. So you trust Andy Reid, right? Right, Sterling? But both of y'all trust him.
Of course.
Okay, and you trust what he says, correct?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So because Andy Reid says that the New York Jets are a great team and got a great coach, I say we put Drew Lock in New York and let's see how he does with the Jets.
No,
see,
okay.
Now even Steve is speechless now.
That doesn't make sense, though.
No.
He's going from bad to worse. Come on, man.
Hold on. Did you not say that he needs to be on a good team? Now, if Andy Reid says that the Jets are a great team and got a great coach, and you all just said that you take Andy Reid at his word, put him there.
Andy Reid was being nice, man.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
He was being nice.
Come on, Darren.
All right, so I just want to put that out there.
But Darren, hear me out. If you put Drew Lock on this Kansas City Chiefs team, do you think they still make the playoffs?
Well, you make the playoffs because you got Andy Reid. Hell, Alex Smith made the playoffs. That's not
Alex Smith. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
Alex Smith was it? He is a good quarterback. I mean, you can't sit up here and say Alex Smith was not good.
I didn't say he wasn't. I didn't say he wasn't. I'm just saying he just wasn't that guy to take a team to the Super Bowl. Speaking of Alex Smith, which you kind of jumped the gun, Steve, but I appreciate that. I did want to give kudos to what Alex did yesterday, even though they, turned in a loser performance against the Detroit Lions. Alex Smith, his comeback fell short, but he was 38 of 55, 390 yards. Did not see the end zone, but he made it through the game, his first full game back since obviously, having that broken ankle as a starter since 2018. I just want to get you all's thoughts on the play of Alex Smith on yesterday.
Shoot, man, Alex has been balling, man. 715 yards but they've lost the last 2 games. But he's come from behind, even though he hasn't, got the win. Alex is I did too. Alex is a gamer, man. But the reality, he's 36 years old. How much more will he be able to play? Honestly, with the team like Washington. You can't sit up here and say he's going to be a Drew Brees or a Tom Brady and play up until his 40s. But man, Ron Rivera has said it best. He's been able to teach the young guys, the young receiving core, how to be professionals. I mean, we saw it. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes both said it while he was here in Kansas City. He taught Patrick how to be a pro. So, I mean, if that's all he's going to be good for, that's worth a little bit, but he's got to win some games still.
I mean, to me, though, Washington's a bottom 5 team in the NFL. Whoever you have pretty much at quarterback. I mean, whether you have Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins Jr. or Alex Smith. Alex Smith at least gives you the best chance to win. You know, they're not going to win many games. We can be honest. That team is not good. But great for Alex Smith coming back. I mean, everything he's gone through, just to have the opportunity to do this, it pretty much deserves a 30-30 in of itself. So huge shout out to Alex Smith. I wish he had a little bit more weapons up there in Washington, but I mean, still, 390 yards is nothing to sneeze about. So big shout out to Alex Smith.
Well, and also, look, I've taken my shots at Alex Smith, and I will probably continue to do so over the years to come. But I do want to give credit where credit's at because, you know, there was a little sprint that he had, to try to get close to a first down and get some yardage yesterday that, you know, he wasn't afraid to take a hit, you know, but he was also smart enough to get out of bounds. The fact that he was able to recover and to get back to the point to where he is right now says a lot about him. Obviously, he cannot turn back the hands of time, being his age and being what he's able to do. But look, man, you know, we wish Alex Smith nothing but the best in all that he does now. You mentioned earlier, Steve, about Miami and Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, obviously that game against the Chargers, he went up against obviously the quarterback who was picked right behind him, Justin Herbert. You know, I want to get your thoughts on it because don't forget the Chiefs are going to be facing obviously the Chargers again, but they're also going to be they're going to be traveling to Miami to face Tua Tagovailoa, which is going to be a much different team than the Rams Fitzpatrick. I know both of you all were not fans of the move. I always was, but but I want to get your thoughts on what you saw from Tua on yesterday, and how you think Kansas City, or what do you think Kansas City needs to be aware of as they get closer to that matchup with Tua?
Back, man, who aren't afraid to sling the ball. When you look at the Chargers and you look at Justin Herbert, I mean, we've seen what he had, right? I mean, playing against the Chiefs during that first matchup, we've seen what he has. I don't think, you know, you should be afraid of, you know, playing the Chargers, but they can sneak up on you. Keenan Allen can go off at any minute, just because he's that type of receiver. But they don't have the running game. I don't think that to be successful, to make it a even balanced team. But Tua, like you said there, who was that? Oh yeah, the defense. Yeah, they're okay. They're all right. But when you look at Miami, though, they are a definite up and coming team, man. And you look at how they've been able to rebuild so fast. And I was one of the guys that was like, you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick should not have been pulled, but they're much fun to watch now, man. I think, you know, they haven't lost a game yet. So right now, their coach is looking like a rock star.
Sterling, obviously, you know, look, I know you wasn't a big fan of it, but the way he's played, there have been opportunities for other teams to pick him off, and they haven't had to do it. But if you look at the way that man throw the ball, you know, I mean, he's a left-handed passer. I think he zipped one yesterday to somebody where the ball literally went through the defender's hands where he could have intercepted it but couldn't because the ball, you know, spins differently when you're a left-handed passer. But this guy Tua, man, I mean, he looks to be the real deal. Obviously, you know, he was the greatest, most efficient college football passer in the history of the ball game. How does this look, you know, if you're Kansas City, knowing that, you know, just in just a few weeks, you're going to be traveling down there to Miami to face off against this kid and a defense to go with it?
Well, to me, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. As solid as Tua has been, he's not been, let's say, spectacular. I mean, 15 of 25 and 169 yards. We're not talking about a guy who's just going up and just throwing bombs. He's been efficient for the most part. He's not making many mistakes, which is huge considering, you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick was a gunslinger. He was very wild. The defense of Miami has been where they've had the most improvement. The defense of Miami has been fantastic. I mean, they're picking Justin Herbert off. They're making plays left and right. I think this Miami Dolphins defense needs a lot more credit. This Dolphins team is playing very good, complete, well-coached football. Flores is a hell of a coach. They won, 5 games last year with maybe the worst roster I've seen, you know, in a while. I mean, that includes the 0-16, Browns team. That roster was about as good as that Dolphins team was last year, and the Dolphins won 5 games. I think Brian Flores needs a ton of credit. So I want to give more credit to Flores and the Miami defense than I want to do to Tua, at least right now.
And also, speaking of Miami, they parted ways with Jordan Howard on earlier today. So Jordan Howard, who had signed a 2-year, almost $10 million deal with a $4.75 million guarantee part in March, has been a free agent disappointment according to him. And I can't speak for Steve, but I know I bet a few dollars on him this season, and he didn't do much for me. So obviously that's something that's going to play. I think more is going to come from Tua in the weeks to come. Finally, when I look at yesterday's games, was there a team or a game that disappointed you all the most? I would say for me was the Green Bay Packers. Struggling against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they only won by 4. I thought they covered, 13 points just because Jaguars are 1-7. But then also, were you as surprised as I was at the way that Tampa Bay was able to bounce back as they were against the Carolina Panthers? Sterling, I'll start with you.
I would say that no, I wasn't surprised that Tampa Bay bounced back. I mean, Tom Brady is just a gamer. He's not going to lose and get embarrassed like that in back-to-back weeks. He's not going to keep getting embarrassed on national television. So I was not surprised at all that the Buccaneers bounced back. I would probably say the most surprising game to me was probably that Ravens game. The Ravens keep wanting to be considered this upper echelon team. They keep wanting to say that we're the best team in the AFC. Ravens fans on Twitter can be pretty brutal when it comes to Kansas City. They always love to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. But to me, losing to the Patriots, a team who really has nothing going for them, they almost lost to the Jets. That was a surprise. That Ravens team, again, they're not looking that good. I don't know if it's a little slump from last year. I don't know if teams just figured out what they were doing. But the Ravens, to me, that's a huge surprise, them losing to the Patriots and then them just not looking very good on offense at all.
Steve, keep this in mind. Just one thing: if Miami if they knock off Denver this week, they're 7-3, and they will be above the Buffalo Bills atop of the AFC East. So they'll jump from number 6, where they are right now, to number 3. So, of course, look, this week against the Raiders has playoff implications. The Chiefs are number 2 in the seeding. Raiders are number 5. Obviously, the Chiefs, Raiders, they hate each other tremendously. But before we get to that, Steve, when are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to lose a game?
I don't know, man. It's tough to say. I thought for sure, we placed our bets, yesterday, and I thought, I had the Pittsburgh Steelers losing to the Bengals. I really did. But the way that the Jaguars played yesterday against, Aaron Rodgers, you could see the Jaguars circling that schedule, the Steelers game on that schedule. It's like, hey, we're not going to let them continue to go undefeated when they come into Jacksonville. So, I mean, that could be a loss there. And then they also have to play the Ravens again and the Bills. So it's not like they have an easy schedule, coming out in the second half of the season. There's a couple of games there, like I said, the Jags, Ravens, and Bills, and also the Colts. So, it's one of those things where I don't feel like they're going to go undefeated. I mean, you have people that are like, well, the Chiefs have an easy end of their schedule more than the Steelers do. And I think, it's the Chiefs they have just a tough schedule, just as the Steelers do as well. So I think they're not going to go undefeated. I think they may lose 2 games, possibly 3.
Sterling, I think you might be gone after this break, but I do want to get your thoughts on when you think the Steelers might lose, and your initial thoughts on this Chiefs-Raiders game coming up Sunday.
I will be. You'll be losing me for the final segment. But as far as the Steelers go, I don't think they're going 16-0. They're not going undefeated. Yeah, they've had too many close games, and just the past has shown you play in that many close games, you're bound to lose one. This was not a close game, though. I'm with you, Steve. I didn't think the Bengals were going to, win, but I thought it would be a lot closer than this. 36-10. The Steelers' defense is legit. Big Ben is having a hell of a bounce-back season. And then they have 3 very good wide receivers, Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then Chase Claypool, the rookie, who has been, honestly, a lot better than I think almost anyone expected. So the offense has been, I think, a lot better than we're really giving them credit for. But as far as the Chiefs game against the Raiders, let's get down to it, because this is a quote-unquote revenge game for Kansas City, and this is Andy Reid coming off of a bye. If there was ever a week that I expect Kansas City to not let off the gas, it's this week. If Kansas City was ever to put up 50-plus points in a game, this is one where I would have circled, marked, and just starred, because I expect Kansas City to absolutely roll over the Raiders. I mean, I expect them to come out pissed off. We'll see some plays that Andy Reid will draw up that we've probably never seen before. To be honest with you, I am extremely excited to watch this game.
We are going to talk a whole lot more, and we're going to talk some odds and point spreads and all the other good stuff as we near closer to the game, because I don't want to give everything away this deal. Sterling, good talk to you. Be safe. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Steve, when we come back, we'll look at some of the NBA trades that's going on, and, of course, the rumor mill about one James Harden, and see where he's going to go. When we come back, Darren and Sterling right here on 94.5 FM, 1510 AM, ESPN Kansas City Radio.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
In these trying times, Kansas City Credit Union knows how important cash flow is in your household. With rates near all-time lows, now's the time to take action. Free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
Work hard and play hard with Easy Sport, Boulevard's refreshing rally ale. Infused with tangerine peel and sea salt, Easy Sport hits the shelves at only 99 calories and 4.5 carbs. This subtly salty, slightly tart beer packs a punch of flavor. Whether you just finished a run, a pickup game, or mowing the lawn, Easy Sport is a refreshing, guilt-free way to celebrate the everyday. Grab an Easy Sport, Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri.
Hey, Kansas City, Steven St. John here from my friends at K&L Precision Painting. I've been working on a project with Matt from K&L Precision Painting, and I couldn't be happier with the process. They're a locally owned interior and exterior painting company. You can call or text K&L Precision Painting at 913-938-4420. That's 913-938-4420. Or visit them online at klpaintingkc.com.
K&L Precision Painting. Looks so good, you'll be fainting.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Hi, I'm Jordan, president of Digital Lagoon, a web and design agency. This year, I'm proud to be celebrating 25 years in business. Here at Digital Lagoon, we can provide you with a strategic digital marketing strategy. With the implementation of social media, SEO, and online advertising, these programs are proven to improve your website traffic. Let us collaborate with you to structure a plan and cut through the digital noise. Check us out at lagoon.com. That's lagoon.com.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City Radio, 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. Steve Wall still with me here on today's show. Steve, James Harden, nobody wants to play with him. And so now it looks like he wants to take his ball from Houston and go to Brooklyn, where it's reported that they top his list of destinations where he wants to go play. Looks as though Kevin Durant is also wanting him to come to Brooklyn. They can actually make a trade work to bring in James Harden, though you're giving up a lot of pieces, including some draft picks and well as some starters. Is this a move that if you're Brooklyn, you make knowing that what it's going to cost the team to bring him in? And then, of course, you haven't seen Kyrie and Kevin Durant play together on your team this year. And then you're talking about bringing another max player in and trying to fit him into this fold and all this under Steve Nash. I mean, how do you think this is going? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think they're going to bring him in? And would you bring him in if you were the GM?
Well, the effects of Kevin Durant and James Harden when they were teammates in the OKC. Granted, they were all young, and also Russ. Russ played with them as well, and so we've seen I think James Harden was the sixth man, at that time, because like I said, they were all young. But if he's going to make your team better, the question is, how will Kyrie, who is a ball dominant guard, how will he and James Harden mesh together? Now, we've seen that James Harden and Russell Westbrook, they really haven't meshed well down in Houston, and Chris Paul. And so, I think it's a risky move. It really is. But, when you look at the East, and you need that star power on your team, you need a guy that's going to be able to go off for 40 or 50 points, on any given night. And of course, KD, he's a ball dominant guy, but we've seen how KD is able to kind of take a step back when he went out to Golden State, when he played with Clay and Steph. And so, it could possibly work, Kyrie though, that's going to be the thing, because Kyrie, we've seen when he was at Boston with him and Jason Tatum, and how that all worked out. But, I think they'll be a contender either way, with or without James Harden. But I do know that I think KD will let James know, like, hey, you're not going to be able to sit here and dribble the ball for minutes on the offensive end and not be able to work the ball around where we get our touches. He has to understand that coming in. And I think it will possibly work out. As long as they have an understanding, it could work.
My only disagreement is that one, if you even have to have that conversation where it's not, where it has to be implied, or you have to straight out come out and say that, I think that's gonna be an issue before it even gets started. Because you look, I'm pretty sure that same conversation was had when the Russell Westbrook, got to Houston. Now, granted, like you said, they all played together, those three, with KD, but of course, KD was always the number one, so to speak. Harden was coming off the bench. So he was coming off the bench as a sixth man. I think he may have been a 6 man a year, but he's coming off the bench scoring 15, 18 points. Now he's scoring 36 points a game. I mean, that's something, everybody says that they want to win a title, but it's also hard to put your ego in check to where, it's not your team. And I mean, it's really not anybody's team, so to speak, because they all pretty much got there. I mean, Kyrie has obviously been there, has played, but of course he got injured as well. So obviously when you get KD, because he's a 7-foot guy that can shoot over anyone. Now, I know you say he's ball dominant, but he doesn't need the ball as much as the guards because he's more efficient in the shooting. And because he can get a shot from anywhere, damn near at any time, I don't think that's going to be an issue as well. I just think, to me, the biggest issue is that all of them, in just my opinion, all of them are kind of weak-minded to where Kyrie wanted to get out of James' shadow, so he went to Boston, but he couldn't. But he couldn't handle it because the team was successful in his absence, and then when he came back, nobody took him seriously. And then, of course, this whole flat Earth theory stuff, nobody takes him serious about that type of stuff anyway. Kevin Durant had to leave OKC to go to Golden State to win a title. Yeah, he was the best player on that team, but he still needed them to do that. But but then his ego got the best of him because of what Draymond calls him, and he has to go running and goes to Brooklyn because Kyrie said, "Hey, let's go play for Brooklyn." Okay, let's go. And so, and now you feel like you need a third superstar to come out there to come play. I mean, look, I know everybody's trying to take down your guy LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, but I mean,
ain't my guy. It's not my guy at all. Come on, man. No, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying though. When KD was at OKC, I mean, you had Russell Westbrook. Well, Russell was the guy that definitely needed the ball in his hands. He's going to like Katie said, not really pass the ball, right? But then he goes to and in OKC, KD had to be the man. He really did. And then he goes to Golden State. He doesn't really have to be the man because you have Steph there, who's, arguably one of the best shooters of all time. Then you still have Clay, who's, a great shooter as well and can score 30, without even dribbling, right? So he went out there and then he needed to he was able to kind of relax and just play basketball. He didn't have to worry about going out there and being a man because, they still had Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, all those guys. And then he then goes to Brooklyn, and now he has to be the man again. Of course, you still have Kyrie, but then you still have to share that load with Kyrie. But then if you bring in a James Harden, you're able to kind of go back and play your game again. So I feel like now that it may be able to work because then looking at KD, he doesn't have to worry about, all right, well, you guys are just dependent solely upon me. It's going to be James and also Kyrie that will carry that load.
Steve, we got about a minute left. Just your quick thoughts on this Chris Paul trade going from the OKC to Phoenix.
I really do. You went out there with a guy like Devin Booker, who is a bucket. You got Chris Paul can still put up points, 10-time All-Star, and then DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul's a guy that can facilitate and work the pick and roll. DeAndre Ayton is a guy that what does he do? He's great off the pick and roll, and he is able to Chris Paul will be able to create for him. So I think it's a great move. Great move for Phoenix. Chris Paul understands that he doesn't have much time left in the league, and he's not in it for the money. I think he's in it to groom young guys, and he'll be able to groom a guy like Devin Booker.
All right, Steve, I want to thank you so much for doing this. So we'll do this again tomorrow, Sterling. I want to thank my guy Rudy back in the studio, keeping us all on the air. Make sure you tune in tonight on your social media platforms. Look for the Red Hour with myself and Steve Walls, Sean Tyler, DJ Q at 6:30. We'll talk and get you all more prepared for Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. Until tomorrow, I'll be back in studio for Steve Walls, Sterling Holmes. I am the one and only Darren Smith. This is Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 FM, 1510 a.m. Please wear a mask, social distance, and stay safe.